Hello, everyone. Welcome to the very first episode of a new segment of this channel where I invite guests and we have a little dual interview with each other. So, I'm your host, Ahmed, and today I'm joined by Jarom Beddoes, who's more commonly known around these parts as Blueberry Beach.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's
Yeah,
a pleasure
very,
to be here.
very nice to have you here, man. So, for for everyone tuning in, how this works is it's not just me like shooting a barrage of questions at someone while they talk for an hour. It's more of an engaging, unscripted discussion between two musicians. So,
hmm
Jerem, you ready?
I'm ready,
All
ready to
right.
go.
So, my first question for you is, um, what would you say really inspired you to start putting out your own music?
Ooh, like originally in the first place when I first started like releasing.
Mm-hmm.
So I started releasing music back in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been into music. I come from like I guess a musical family. Like
Mm-hmm.
neither of my parents like release anything or anything like that, but I've just always had a bit of musical background. So I've always just had like a an interest in music. It's always been something I've been good at. And
Mm-hmm.
then I guess I just never realized I could like put it out myself. And then I kind of got I mean, I remember talking to you about like certain distributors, things like that, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I can actually do this.
Mm.
And I started doing that, and it's like the best thing ever for me. So I've been doing that for a few years now.
How do you go about creating that music that you put out? Like how do you like what's your process when it comes to turning an idea into like, a finished track?
That's a really good question. So I always it always starts with an idea for me as in like a thematic idea, like a lyrical idea.
Hmm.
So I don't have the same process every time. I never like start with the lyrics or start with the beat. I kind of just so I've got demos in Logic that are just like I don't have any lyrics for this. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. And then I've got like handwritten like or in my notes app where it's just like lyrics that I don't know what I'm gonna do with. I guess I kind of just if something inspires me in my life, that could be anything. I mean, something small,
Hmm.
something big. I'll tend to just write about it or make an instrumental song about how it feels, and then sometimes I don't have the lyrics or sometimes I don't have the music to go with it, and then but if I find something, because a lot of these suck, if I find something that's like really good, I'm like, okay, that's it. That has to be a song. That's when
Hmm.
I kind of like mix and match and kind of, well, I want this to sound like this. I want these lyrics with this beat, and that's kind of how that goes.
Hmm.
So it's different every time, but I actually wanted to ask you a similar question
Whoa.
about your
All right.
process. So you've put out music, I think, longer than I have, and I don't know if you've like done music for longer. I think we've been doing it like the same amount of time, but
Mm-hmm.
you've put out it before I did. I mean, I kind of was inspired by you. I
Uh,
remember seeing your YouTube videos and things like that. And so
mm.
I wanted to ask like how were you inspired originally when you started like making YouTube videos and making music even before it was on like all streaming services? Like what inspired you to like put that out there and go for it?
Right. So this is really funny, but I was a gaming channel originally, and
Okay.
that's why my old account where I started putting the covers and stuff had like thousands of subscribers. Those
Yeah.
subscribers didn't care about my music. They were there for the gaming, the
Oh.
Minecraft content that I was making when I was like 9, 10 years old. Um, but yeah, I was kind of raised into music. I started
hmm
playing the piano when I was like 4 years old, so I've kind of been doing it
hmm
for like a decade and a half now, which is
Yeah.
which is crazy to say when you say it like
That's
that, but
that's
it's
crazy.
it's it's been a while, right? I'm no spring chicken, but it's like I was kind of testing the waters for a couple of years because I didn't want to do gaming, right? I wanted to do music. That was
Yeah.
what I was passionate about. And so I just kind of started like sprinkling covers here and there, like on top of the gaming videos I was doing. And
Okay.
they weren't performing well at all because everyone was just like, "Where's the gaming? What is this guy doing?" And so that was kind of why I kind of like scrapped the whole like Brewsterious thing. Um,
Okay.
and then yeah, I kind of just I felt inspired by myself to kind of just, change and do something different and just kind of, how like like Pink guy, Filthy Frank, he had this huge
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
metamorphosis from doing like the comedy videos to doing the music. And it's like
Hmm.
he was doing music on like Pink guy as well, and those videos weren't performing well. They're like, oh, where's the racist stuff, where's the
Yeah,
offensive
where's
stuff.
the
And then
hmm
he rebranded himself as Joji, and then
yeah.
now he's one
That's
of the
super
biggest
cool.
artists, right? And I guess I was really inspired by that.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about your, I guess, kind of rebrand to put
mm,
it. Like, where did you go from Bruce Serious? Like, what was the what? I mean, besides that, like, you didn't want to do gaming and stuff, but were
hmm
there other reasons, other factors, and because you had released music under that name, so
right.
like, what was the shift, I guess?
So I felt like Bruce Darius was like the genesis of something else. I felt
Okay.
like I always knew from the beginning that I was going to rebrand at some point to me, because it's
Hmm.
like Bruce Darius doesn't really sound like something memorable, to be honest. I
Okay.
came up with the name Bruce, I think, in seventh grade, because I went to a school where nobody could pronounce my name. Uh,
Oh,
so it's just like they were like Ahmed. Um, in Break the Silence, Chris actually pronounces my name wrong, but I kept it in because it sounded so good. But
yeah.
yeah, so they just like completely rejected my name and they started calling me Bruce. So I found that really funny.
Okay.
And Bruce Mysterious was actually just like Bruce and Mysterious combined together to make Bruce
Oh, yeah.
Mysterious, because I saw this one interview and it's really silly, but going back to my gaming roots, there's this YouTuber named Markiplier, and
Yeah.
what's really funny is his name is Mark and then Multiplier combined. So I was
So kind of like that.
yeah, I copied Markiplier, and yeah, my family was just like, "Who's Bruce, man?" Like, and like I guess like when I moved to India, I realized that like Indian people didn't really get the name, and they were just kind of like, "What is Brucesterus?" And I was just like,
Oh.
"Oh." So then I was just like, I need to be something more memorable. I need to be like me. And
Hmm.
I think my name is like top 10 most common like names on the planet. So
That's crazy.
it was a pretty bold decision to make my artist name just the name, because there's so many Ahmeds out there. But
Hmm.
I'll be that Ahmed. I'll be the Ahmed. You know what I'm saying?
You're that guy.
I'm
You're
that
that
guy.
guy. You're him. Yeah. So like, no, it's just another little thing. I was just like,
Hmm.
oh, so you change your name to your like your name. What did you do the period for? Like, what was that?
Again, just because I'm making a statement. The I'm the Ahmed. I'm Ahmed with a dot.
That's cool. Yeah, I like your handle. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's really cool.
But yeah, it's like we're indie musicians, right? We don't really have a
Hmm.
big budget for anything. We kind
Nope.
of we kind of just do things out of thin air with no money. Like the music videos that we
Yeah.
make, the music that we make. It's just like, as an indie musician yourself, what challenges do you think that you've faced in producing and promoting music
Ooh.
all by yourself?
For me, the hardest part is the promotion. So for
Hmm.
music, I think like a lot of people will say that like music sucks nowadays, or like music like because of technology music it's easier to make and it sounds worse, and I completely disagree. I think there's so
Hmm.
much good music being made right now
Yeah.
if you just look for it. However, like being on a budget, like it does make the quality, I think it can make the quality worse. I don't want to say it does because like you're an example and lots of people are an example for this. You don't need the best studio in the world to make great music, and
Yeah.
I don't have that, and like nobody really has that. But um for me it's promotion. I think like because if I had like millions of dollars I could be posting like a reel every other day, me doing some crazy thing to get people to click on it and see my song, or like get billboards out there, play
Yeah.
big concerts. But it's like, oh, it's kind of just me in my room with my friends sometimes, like just filming whatever. I've got like a real coming out today, and it's like, oh well, I just filmed this myself. I set up my camera and just filmed this myself. So
Mm,
it's like I think promotion is the hardest part because you have to put in so much more work, so much more time into doing
yeah.
something just you. Like it's crazy, but I think there's also a bit of fun to that.
Hmm. And speaking of promotion, you
Yeah,
released two songs this year, Prisoner's
two
Ghost
songs. Yeah,
and Ivy.
I
And
did.
you've kind of been teasing online over the course of the last year that these songs are in fact intended to be part of a much bigger body of work. So,
They are, yes.
how do you think that these songs kind of contribute to shaping the overall meaning of this new project that you're working on?
So it's actually a bit of a story. I can tell a little bit of it.
Hmm.
So I started Prisoner's Ghost 2 years ago, and at that time, I mean, I sent you demos. It was a completely different song.
Yeah.
It's almost unrecognizable. But um, I kind of just worked on that for a while until, because the thing that is the same is, I guess, the topic, and that's why I still call it that same song, because it's like about the same thing. And once I finally released that, I said in the like announcement post for the song, I was like, I've been working on an EP for the past year and a half. It's 7 songs, and this is like the lead single or whatever. And then I was ready to go with the next song. Ivy was gonna come out about a month and a half after that. I got so busy with school and just kind of I was kind of just working on music too, like even though I had this EP almost done, I was working on so many other songs that kind of just didn't really fit the EP vibe because the
Mm,
EP had a certain theme I was kind of going for. And so I just didn't release Ivy, never even teased or anything. Prisoner's Ghost kind of just sat there for a couple months. And then um, when I came back with Ivy, I was like, I can't do the EP anymore. And I felt bad because I kind of announced that there's going to be one,
yeah.
but a lot of stuff has happened in my life in the past year, and I was like, I just have so many songs. I can't do an EP. I'd have to do 2 EPs. So
Mm,
I kind of compiled some together in kind of a storyline to make an album that's coming out near the end of this year that I'm really excited about. The best thing for me though is that Prisoner's Ghost and Ivy are like when I had released Prisoner's Ghost especially, it I had no plans to make an album, even though I had enough songs. I guess I could have made one, but Prisoner's Ghost, even now with the album in mind, it's still the perfect lead single. It still has the perfect theme, the perfect message. So it
mm,
kind of goes. The album kind of goes in order of a storyline. And I do want to say this, but it is kind of like a breakup album.
mm,
I think, which is something I'm excited to do. But I think Prisoner's Ghost was a song I never intended to be a part of something like that, and a song
mm,
that fits perfectly in something like that. So that's kind of how that fits, and Ivy as well. When I released it, I was already thinking about that, but when I wrote it, not at all. So that's
mm.
my answer to that.
Yeah, Prisoner's Ghost is I gotta say, like, I think it's your best song yet. And
Thank you.
there was one thing I noticed about the outro. There's a very
Yeah,
familiar lyric there, and I noticed that from something, a demo that you showed me a very
yeah,
long time ago. Uh I know I'll get up.
yeah.
Yeah, and I remember you teased that on your Instagram as well a very long time
Hmm.
ago. I'm not sure if that's still up,
Yeah.
but you did
No,
tease it.
it's not. That little part, if you skip to the end of Prisoner's Ghost, there's kind of like a da 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 da. That was the original chorus melody for the song that was Prisoner's Ghost, and at the end of the song, I kind of just needed something else, and I was like, well, I still like this melody, even if I don't have like the same lyrics. So I just kind of put the melody to the end of the song.
Mm,
So yeah,
yeah, I sniped that.
and then yeah, it was just a fun song to make overall.
Mm,
But same thing for you. I mean, you've been on the grind. You've been making a lot of music, and you've been releasing a couple too. You
yeah,
just put out a song too,
I
"Song for a
did.
Person I've Never Met."
Yeah,
Great song. Go
thank
check it
you.
out. But so I mean, you've been teasing a little project coming up soon, and
Whoa.
what can you say on that? Like what can you say?
Okay, so by the time this is up, because we're filming this like a week or two in advance, But
Yeah.
by the time that this is up, I'm pretty sure that the song, I mean, no, the EP title is out. It's out there, The Curse
Okay.
of Mediocrity, and it is coming out October 4th.
October
Five
4th.
new songs, two that you heard before, three you've not heard at all. Um,
That's so exciting.
I haven't promoted them at all on my socials. I mean, if you're like a friend, then I've been teasing them a ton on my private account, but for most of the people on like my main music account, I haven't really been sharing them at all. People kind of have no
No
idea how they
teasers.
sound, and I plan to keep it that way. I plan to just like leave everyone in this kind of mystery. It's like you have these two songs that you can listen to
Hmm.
right now. Song for a Person I've Never Met and Wounds featuring our very good friend Bailey Paget. Um
Shout out, Bailey.
Shout out Bailey. But it's like these songs I've kind of put my everything into them. They
Hmm.
come from very painful points in my life, I feel, and I feel like you can really hear that pain in some of the songs, especially the last two, Mr. Misery and Lo and Behold. Um
Yeah.
I mean, Eyesore is kind of like a very like it's a song about infatuation, and it's like I haven't
Okay. Yeah.
really released love songs ever, but it's like Song for a
Hmm.
Person I've Never Met and Eyesore, they're kind of about love without being about love, if that makes sense. Because Song for a Person I've Never Met is about being so in love with the concept of falling in love that
Hmm.
you realize that none of the people that you've been with really fit that definition of love that you've created for yourself, and you find
Hmm.
yourself constantly wanting more from them, and it's just a really unhealthy toxic cycle. And then
Yeah.
Eyesore was kind of something it was kind of based off of insecurity. I've always been uh well, I had always been insecure about the way that I looked, and so I found myself like overcompensating in other places, like such as my
Hmm.
personality, the way I act, the way I dress, and it was just like, okay, I'm an eyesore, but here's what else I can do. I can be your world with a blindfold. Is basically um, kind of the statement of the song, right? But then,
Really great line.
thank you. But Mr. Misery is it's just pain. It's just kind of four
Yeah.
minutes of pain. And it's yeah, Lo and Behold is kind of a very similar thing. It's a closer track, and you wouldn't expect it from a
Hmm.
closer track, but it's probably the most poppy, most upbeat song on the EP while still being extremely depressing, and like it
Yeah. Sad.
just it talks about like being so alone and not wanting to confide in anyone because you're afraid that confiding in someone's just going to make the issue worse. And
Yeah.
it's just yeah, it's a very brutal EP that comes from a very brutal period of my life that I've started working on 2 years ago. These are all so I'm done. I'm done with the healing process. You know, I'm good now. I'm good. I'm great. But it's like these are songs that were conceptualized when I wasn't, and so
Hmm.
it feels kind of good revisiting such horrible feelings with such a changed perspective and feeling so grown from these. It's like it's kind of just like revisiting your past with like a different lens.
Yeah. That's, I mean, I think sometimes putting out the painful ones, putting out the hard ones, even if you aren't still feeling that way, it can be
Mm,
hard to do that. And it feels so refreshing at the same time. You're like, look,
yeah.
like this was me a year ago, this was me 6 months ago, but I'm fine now. And I think that's something I can relate to, especially with my album coming out. I mean, all of these songs are, I mean, I already said it's a breakup album, but even besides that, there's other hard things that I just write about. I'm like, I think I focus on the hard things when I write more than the
Mm,
good things. But you put like a poppy instrumental on there and
Yeah,
say some depressing stuff, and I mean it makes a great song. And I gotta say, Lo and Behold is my favorite one. So I'm
you heard it here
excited for this
first,
one.
guys.
Yeah,
But
guys, you got to be ready for October 4th.
yeah, definitely pre-save it now. I think the pre-save link should be up there somewhere. I don't know. But yeah, I feel like shaping a message that listeners can really like gather from your music is important, right? Because you want it to have like some
Hmm.
sense of relatability, right? So when you're
Yeah.
writing your music, what exactly do you want listeners to take away from it when they listen? Like, uh,
Ooh.
are there any specific emotions or messages that you're hoping to convey with your music?
That's a really good question. I think I never try to be relatable, but I think
Mm,
being relatable is a good thing. You want people to listen and you want people to be like, yeah, that's really real. Like I can feel that too. Or
mm,
and they like, I am feeling that. And I think that's something that I don't necessarily try to do, but it's something I want to do and aim to do because and that sounds like it's like two opposing things, but like I don't write a song with the purpose of it being relatable. I write a
mm-hmm,
song in a way that it can be relatable,
right.
which it's two different things. And then I think for me, what I want people to take away from my music is just, and this might not be a good approach. Sometimes my music is just kind of a journal entry, and
Mm,
I'm like I want people to listen to it. I want them to read my journal. But I don't want it to be, I guess, too weird or too personal. So sometimes I gotta like change a couple lyrics here and there. I'm like, this is too personal. This is not okay to say in a song. And then sometimes it's like, well, I don't want to be too vague either. Like I want it to be specific to me because I write music for me first. It's like it's my way of healing. It's my way of getting through things. And I
mm,
think I want people to know that, and I want people to use that as something they can use to get through whatever they're going through. And like I was talking about earlier with Prisoner's Ghost, sometimes the meaning just completely changes, and there's nothing I can do about that. Like when I wrote the song originally, completely different meaning. When I have it out now, completely different meaning. So if people can take their own meanings um, through the songs and have the song mean something to them, even if it's not what it means to me or what I even conceived at all, then I succeeded.
that's a really great way to look at it. And honestly, for me, it's kind of just like
Hmm.
I try to do like a little mix of like kind of as you said, right? It's like something that really expresses what I'm feeling, but at the same time I
Yeah.
try not to make it like over specific. So it's not like, oh, I was walking my dog on the 6th of August and he died in a
Yeah.
fire and I'm sad, right? It's just like
Yeah.
and I find it kind of comforting because you know how there's this option on like Spotify for artists where you can see the playlists that you've been put on.
Hmm.
It's like there's songs like Wounds and I see that they're on people's like sad playlists, their comfort playlists and stuff and it makes me feel like I'm doing something right, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And another thing is I kind of find it funny how even the songs that I write it about a very specific instance. But then, like
Hmm.
years later in my life, I find myself relating those lyrics to another instance of my life that is currently ongoing. So it's like
Yeah.
my lyrics, like I try to write them in a way that they're timeless. So it's like when I think about the songs that I write, I'm not just thinking, "Oh, I was writing about this one person." I'm just like, "Oh, that's funny how that now relates to something that I'm going through right now as well."
Yeah. I agree with that. I mean, I'm sorry to bring up Prisoner's Ghost again, but
Mm,
there's a lyric in there that says, "Abandon me like a ghost town." So when I wrote that, I was thinking about myself and I was like, you know, I feel so detached from myself
mm,
that like it's like I'm abandoned. I've abandoned myself in search of, you know, something else, whatever that could be. And
mm,
now, I mean, I think that can be super true, but I feel like with the album I feel more attached to myself. And now, so I'm gonna a little spoiler. Prisoner's Ghost is the third song on the album, and in the album has a story, and it's
Mm-hmm.
part two to the story out of
Ooh.
like a 10 part, 11 part story, and I think if I'm counting it as a breakup album, which in sometimes I am, it's like that abandoned me like a ghost town. The first time I re-listened to Prisoner's Ghost a couple months ago, I was like, yo, that hits. That thinking about someone else like leaving you, like that's so good. So I brought back that ghost town theme a little bit throughout the album, but I still feel like it can relate in so many ways, and that's just one example that comes to mind. But I totally agree with that.
Yeah, like for song for a person I've never met, I feel
Hmm.
like um the concept of the song changing so much actually led to me writing the second verse. So the second verse
Oh,
was originally supposed to have the same structure as the first verse. It was meant to be like, the acoustics here are impeccable tonight. And it was just meant to go like that, right? Same thing.
yeah.
But then I added like that melodic rap part, the but I've been here once before, only pain
Oh
and
yeah.
nothing more. And it's like,
Actually, my favorite part.
thank you. I wrote that. So I wrote the entire song in July of
Mhm.
2022
Yeah.
and it was done, right? I put it aside, thought I was going to sell it to someone. Um it's really funny. The guy who made Sunroof, Nicky
Oh
Yor,
yeah. Yep.
I was in touch with him at the time, not anymore cuz he's too famous, but um I used to be in touch with him and we used to like give each other ideas. You know my song Good How About You? He
Yeah.
reconstructed the verse melody for that song. And it's
Oh
just like
really?
it was good getting advice from him because he had already kind of exploded with the success of Sunroof. And so he knew how to
Yeah.
make like a catchy pop melody, right? He knew what he was doing. And so
Hmm.
I used to come to him for ideas. And then he also told me that if I wanted, I could pitch ideas to him as well because he had a lot of contacts
Oh
in the industry. And so,
yeah.
Song for a Person I've Never Met was actually supposed to be a Nicky Yor song. And well, I don't know if he was ever going to take it because I remember I sent him another demo and he really liked it. He was like, wow, this is neat stuff. Can I pitch it to
Hmm.
some of my music friends? And I was like, I think I want to hold on to this one, but I've got this other one. And then I sent him Song for a Person I've Never Met, and he just kind of left it unseen. So it probably wouldn't have worked
Oh,
out. It probably wouldn't have worked out anyway. But let's just say it was almost a Nicky Year song. And
I mean, yeah.
but yeah, that second verse um came out, well, came out. I wrote it, it came out of my brain on I think it was August of 2023. I randomly
Wow.
decided to revisit the song like more than a year later, more than a year after I'd completely scrapped it. And
Yeah.
I was just like, I was listening to the song and I was like, wow, I wrote this about one thing, but now it's like I'm writing it about the same thing in a different instance, right? And it just felt like,
Yeah,
wow, I've
exactly.
I've been here once before, you know? And that's where
It's
that whole thing came. I've been here once before, only pain and nothing more. And
just comes out.
it
Yeah.
just comes
I
out.
mean, that's the beauty of music. That's why I love music so much. I mean, it can change and mold in so many different ways, like
Yeah.
shape shifting, you know?
Yeah,
That's what I
but
love.
one thing about music is that I feel like producing music can be a technical hell sometimes, at least in my
Hmm.
experience.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like as fresh artists, it's still something that we learn to overcome every single day of our lives. And I think it goes without saying that everybody has a different way of approaching music production. But in your case, how would you say that, you balance out that more technical side of music with the more emotional and creative aspects of making music?
Well, I think I mean, the key is what you just said is balance. You've got to find what that balance is. And for me, I mean, like I said earlier, I start with sometimes a lyric, sometimes a beat on Logic, and I think The music is something that I never am sick of. Like I can
Mm,
never get sick of music, but some things like if I'm like d doing like little tech stuff in Logic where I'm just like adjusting this and adjusting, it can get really like
yeah.
grating and boring. I'm like, okay, like I'm done with this. But like if I'm playing guitar or playing piano, writing something in my notes, I mean I just can never get sick of it. So sometimes if I just need to like all right, I got to stop with this and go work on something else. That's what I'll do. But I
Mm,
think like you asked about like balancing it with the emotional side. I
mm,
think the trick is to just not overwork yourself. I went through a period a couple months ago where I was overworking myself, and during the summer, I was working on music all day, every day, and a lot of great songs on the album came out of that, and I'm like really grateful to that. But you just feel so drained, and it's hard, I guess, to make emotional stuff. I remember making beats that aren't on the album because they felt so like soulless. Like I didn't have any emotion towards that. So I think it really is just balancing your time. It's spent using your time wisely. So
mm. Yeah, you know, there was actually 6 tracks on the EP. There was
mhm.
track number one was originally called What They Say,
Oh
and
yeah.
yeah, it had that little chip tune kind of beat drop. And then I realized that it didn't fit because it was like, I guess the lyrical content didn't really match up with what was happening
Mm.
on the rest of the EP. And another thing was that it was a nightmare to mix. Um,
Oh, I bet.
I was like, no, there's no way I'm getting this done within the year. This is gonna take me until like 2025. I might just like drop it in like a separate project, right? Because see, it's not that it would take me an entire year to mix one song. It's just that I find myself getting so disinterested with the mixing and mastering of music because of how tedious it can
Hmm.
get. And it's just like, wow, I wish that this could just be done for me, right? Because it's
Yeah.
like Good How About You, which is what I released on my mixtape, My Conundrum as Brewsterious. Um, I made that song in July 2022. I made it along with Song for a Person I've Never Met, but it released that
Mm.
year. Um, and what's funny is it took me like 3 days to make the song. I got the guitars recorded by my friend
Mhm.
Krishna. I got my friend Nate to do all the drums. Nate is awesome, by the way. He does like AJR and 21 Pilots covers on YouTube, like on the drums and
I've
stuff.
seen him. Yeah.
Yeah, he's crazy. I think he's drummed through all of the 21 Pilots albums. Um,
Crazy.
and he's amazing. I reached out to him from those covers actually, and that's even how I met my friend Isaac. That's how I met you, and it's just like
Hmm.
it's crazy that we built that community. But it's like, yeah, I got sent all those like instrumental pieces over the course of 3 days. Isaac sent me the pianos, Nate sent me the drums, my friend Krishna sent me the guitars, and I got it done in 3 days. But then it was like, wow, the mix is horrible because it was like
Oh.
there were so many loud distorted guitars and they were like kind of drowning out my voice, and my voice sounded too auto-tuned because of like the doubler, and
Oh.
so it ended up taking me 3 months just to mix the song. I was mixing the song continuously for 3 months, no sleep, and then I finally reached a place where I was like, this isn't good, but this is okay, and then I released it.
Which I mean, I think I agree. So I'm someone who, when it's my own music, I like to work alone. I mean, I like to write everything myself. I like to produce everything myself and record. I mean, it can take a lot of time when I'm playing every instrument, I'm writing every lyric, and I think
Mm,
that sometimes makes my work take a lot longer. However, if I had the opportunity to like have someone mix and master for me, I would take that. Like I
yeah.
do sometimes, but I mean it costs money if you want it like professionally done, and it's like I maybe then I'd rather just do it myself. So, but um yeah, go ahead.
Wait, was I saying something?
I thought you were
Oh,
about to.
no.
I guess I just heard you like breathe, like you said about your mic, but
Yeah.
I did want to ask you something. So I know,
Mm,
like I just said, like I like working alone with my music, but I do like collaborations. Like if I'm featuring on something, or if I'm like writing with someone else. But
Hmm.
you've done a few collaborations. Do you wanna talk about any of those? Because I'm really impressed by some of them, and I've been on
Yeah, you
one or
have.
two of
My
those.
first song with vocals had you on it, which
Yeah,
I'm really happy with the way that came out because I do believe that today that song Out of It holds a very special place in my heart, and I do believe that it is one
me
of
too.
the best songs that I have written, produced, and just ever put out. It's just a shame it doesn't have
It's a
my
good song.
voice in it, but it's just like because I was at that stage where I just wanted to be like the producer in the back seat, and I didn't want to sing because I didn't
Hmm.
really know how to sing back then. But I would say that I've kind of developed a slightly tolerable voice, so I'm
I
just
think your voice is good.
thank you. But yeah, Out of It was amazing, and working on My Conundrum with Jack Berzink. I
Yeah,
love
we love
Jack.
him. Shout out.
Jack I also found through AJR, and he's an amazing guy. He's such a sweet guy. I
Oh
remember
yeah.
we wrote the song over text. Like we had no idea what it was going to sound like. We didn't have a melody. We just wrote down our feelings on like a document. And what's funny is I think it was like 3 in the morning for me. He was just like, bro, I was just like, bro, I need to write something, and he was like, okay, hop on this Google document. We'll just write things. And so I wrote, we kind of very evenly split it. Like, I wouldn't say either of us wrote more of the song than the other. We kind of like
Hmm.
allocated what parts each of us was gonna write. I think I wrote
Like a 50-50 thing.
um, I wrote we like split the verse in half. So
Hmm.
he wrote one part of the first verse, I wrote one part of it, and then I think I wrote the pre-chorus and the chorus, and then he wrote the
Okay.
second verse and the bridge. So it was just like it was a lovely division of labor. And then Wounds, which came out this year, April 5th.
Oh yeah.
Um yeah, Bailey, I've always wanted to do a song with her because I've known how great of a vocalist she is.
She's
And
really good.
I talked to her about Wounds in 2022, again 2 years ago, um,
Hmm.
because I wrote the song 2 years ago, and it was just kind of I scrapped it, and I felt so bad for scrapping it because I know how like badly she wanted to be on the song, and then I remember her telling me how like depressed she was. Well, not depressed. Bailey, if you're watching this, I look, you were sad about it, and I got sad that you were sad about it, and so I revisited the song for her sake, and then I realized, hey, this is a good song, right? And so
Hmm.
I think I finished and recorded everything in December of 2023, before Break the Silence even came out. We were
Yeah.
just done. We were just done with the song. We had it sitting there, and I knew I was gonna release it on April, because what I like to do is I like to keep songs ready. I don't like to just like make one, release it, make one, release it. It's like I kind of keep them lined up, and it's like you're gonna go there, you're gonna go there. Um,
Hmm.
and then yeah, Break the Silence came out on my birthday. Uh, Greatest birthday
Yeah.
present ever because it's my biggest song. It's almost at like 10K streams, which is
Oh yeah.
insane to me.
So cool.
And Chris, he had a couple different verses on it. There's one that he sent all the way in like August of 2023. It was like, you said whatever I want, but what I want's to be done, and I could never have thought
Oh
that this would
yeah.
ever become. And then he just, I guess I really liked that verse. I really liked it, but then he was like, no, it's bad. I can do better. And I love that about Chris. He always tries to one up himself because he's always just like
He's yeah.
he knows that he can do like better than what he's already done before. And like with our untitled collaboration, he's done a similar thing where he made something amazing, and then he was like, this is not amazing enough, and then he just completely blows our mind with something even better.
Oh yeah. I've gotta hand it to him. He's like all these people we know, all these musicians, just so many talented people that we like have the opportunity to work with and talk with. And I've got to just say like shout out to all of them, but like shout out Chris when you're watching this, if you're watching this, like it's really cool to just see him like work on something until it's like perfect, until like
Yeah.
instead of just because sometimes I'll be like, I don't want to finish it. Like I like it, but like this needs to be tweaked. I just don't want to do it. But he does it until it's completely done, and I really
Yeah.
admire that.
And I just think like, okay, I'm gonna like put like sections for people to like siphon through this
Hmm.
this episode. And I think I'm just gonna
Yeah,
like segment this one as Glazing Chris, because
Glazing Chris.
like
That's what we're doing. Yeah.
yeah, I mean he's amazing. I like we started music at the same time, but
Hmm.
he like I started music with him. We were best bros
Yeah.
from the start, right? When
So cool.
since we were like 12, we've been friends. And I'm like I'm 17 now, which is crazy. That has been a long time since I've known that guy. Um but yeah, like um we started at the same time, but we both had very different paths. Like we started here and then it kind of just like branched out into two very
Yeah.
different areas. Like I went into like I was making music very like briefly, right? I was making music here and there. But from that point, he dedicated his everything into music from there. He became a music making machine, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like we started at the same time. I'm like older than him, but it's like I can say this without like a slither of doubt. He is miles better than I will ever be because of just the
I don't know.
sheer
I don't
the
know about
sheer
that,
drive.
but his dedication and his
Yeah.
like it's just something I really admire with him. I
Mm,
mean, there's things I admire with everyone that we know, every musician, every friend, but if like when I think about someone who's like truly dedicated, like he
mm.
comes to mind. So
Yeah. Okay, I have no idea how to segue into this next question. So
you can just go ahead.
I'm
Yeah,
just gonna put it
let
out
me
there.
take a drink.
Here's the next question. So all right. As an independent artist yourself,
Hmm.
what advice would you give to other indie artists who are trying
Ooh.
to navigate the music industry on their own?
Okay, let me segue this one. So, just talking about Chris, and my advice is to never give up. Like keep that level of dedication because when you start music, I mean, it's the coolest thing. I'm releasing music. You don't ever want to stop. And my advice is to not stop because
Yeah.
even if you start off really badly, like I mean, I did for sure. Everyone really does. Just keep going. You'll get better. Your sound will improve and you'll have more fun. You really will. Because the,
Mm,
the the better you are at your instrument or you're singing, whatever it is, whatever skill you're trying to work on, the better you are, the more fun you have because the more stuff you can do. Just keep working at it, and it's okay if you aren't the best yet because you just keep working. And I think about I want to like I mean you think about sports like I mean Simone Biles like top gymnast in the world.
mm,
She's I mean the best, but she has a coach.
right.
You can be the best at something and just keep learning. You can always keep learning. So my advice is to just keep going, whatever it is. If it's guitar, if it's like production, whatever you're doing, keep going, and the payoff is so good. Even as me with like less than 100 monthly listeners on Spotify, like it's so worth it once you get to a place where it's like I can't even wait for my album to come out. I'm like counting down the days and I haven't even finished it yet. I'm like, keep going. It's so worth it.
Yeah, it definitely is. Because I feel like there's just such a like thrill to making music, you know what I'm saying? It's like
But yeah.
you're doing something you love, something you're so passionate about, and then you're putting all your deepest, darkest feelings out there on the internet for everybody to
Hmm.
indulge in. And you don't know whether they're gonna love it or they're gonna be like TMI, bro. But it's just like
Yeah, exactly.
it's a really beautiful experience being a musician, I feel.
It is. Yeah, I wanted to ask you pretty much the same question. I mean, it's not word for word what I
Hmm.
had written, but I wanted to ask what your advice would be to someone who is just starting out with music, or I guess kind of getting into production specifically, because I mean, you're just a great producer.
Well, thank you for the compliment. I mean, I think for me, obviously, I think it would be the same, kind of similar to what you said. Just keep releasing music. Don't
Yeah.
stop. Don't wait until you're like the next Max Martin or the next
Hmm.
John Bellion. Just like keep keep putting it out there, because it's like you don't know whether you're doing good or not. Um, I feel until you get external feedback, and so
Hmm.
it's like I was putting out pretty garbage music at the time, right? I had this mixtape called Lost Memos, which I released in 2021, and
I remember that.
it was not good, right? It was horrible, and yeah, I remember I got a lot of like my family and friends were all over it. They were like, "Oh, this is so good," but then it's like the genuine people, like the real people who are not like forced to say it was good. They're like,
Yeah.
"This sucks. This is bad," and like they were
Yeah.
being so like critical about it, and I got hurt at the time because I was like what like 14, 13 when
Hmm.
Lost Memos came out. Um, but yeah, then I was just I took it to heart, which I took it to heart in a good way. I kind of improved my sound. I stopped releasing those instrumentals because I realized nobody's gonna like open Spotify and look for like an instrumental song, right? Like who does that?
Hmm.
So it's
Hmm.
just like I started adding words to my music, and I guess it's just all trial and error, just keep making mistakes, keep getting better. Um Learn. There's so many like YouTube courses online. You don't even have to like pay to take classes in production or anything. Just watch a YouTube video
Yeah.
or something. That's what I do. That's what half of my
That's sick.
creative process is. It's just watching YouTube videos on how to do this and that. And reach out to anyone you know that knows how to do it better. Like, you should never feel shy to ask for advice. Like
Yeah.
Chris, again, back to Glazing Chris. Um
Favorite hobby?
Chris, yeah, it's just like he's so amazing at what he does, and I'm not afraid to admit that he is better than me. So it's just if I ever have a doubt or if I ever need help mixing something, even if he says no, even if he says I can't help you, I'm still just like please help me with this. I don't know
Hmm.
why my mic keeps producing so much white noise. I don't know why the mix on this sounds so bad, and it's like he helps, and it's just like
Yeah.
it's nice to have people in your circle who can help you when you have trouble with something, and you just shouldn't be ashamed to reach out. You shouldn't be ashamed to put your music out there even if it's bad. Just keep learning, keep doing your thing. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. No, I have I mean, I have the same experience kind of. I put out I'm not even gonna say the name of it, like an album. It wasn't even really an album
ABC.
back back in 2021. That's like mostly instrumental songs, and everyone at the time, same for me. Like everyone, oh, this is the best thing ever. What's funny is when I released it, I didn't even think it was that good because
Mm,
I knew it wasn't, and so like a year later, I put out I guess I can say the name of Prelude, which is it's on because it's on streaming services. But I took down that other one and I was like, it wasn't good, and I hadn't done my best. I hadn't put out my best work. I was kind of testing the waters. I kind of wanted to just release something to release it, and then Prelude was a little bit better, and then I've been out for 2 years, so
mm,
I'm excited for what's coming this year. But it's the same thing. I mean, there's those few people who are like, no, that wasn't good. That wasn't good. Like try again, and just encouraging you because they can tell you like, oh, it sucks. But what is important is that they're like still trying to build you up. They're not just saying, oh, that sucks. Like get out of here. Like
yeah.
that sucks, but like. keep going.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you gotta have people like that in your circle because I feel
Hmm.
like it, you can tell it's fake when people are just like, constantly whatever you're throwing at them, even when you know it's bad, they're just like, wow, that's amazing. I would definitely listen to
Yeah.
that. And then it's like, there's the other end of the spectrum where people are just like, that's horrible, but I'm not going to tell you why it's horrible. It's just horrible. And it's just like that. That's kind of like, it kind of demotivates you to hear that, right? But then it's like, keep those
Hmm.
people in your circle who know about music and send them your music, because I feel like I learned this the hard way, but I used to send my music to everyone, and
Mm.
music is a different language. It's like you're asking people who speak French to listen to this thing that you've recorded in Portuguese, and then you're asking
Hmm.
them, oh, how does this sound, how does the meaning of this affect you, and then they're just like, I don't understand it, but
Yeah.
change this,
I don't
change
know.
that. Yeah. And it's
Hmm.
like, I used to send my music to some people and they'd be like, oh yeah, the graininess, turn down the graininess and turn this up, and the buzzy buzz, and it's just like, okay. And then I do that and then I realize I've ruined the song by following what they were telling me to do. And
Yeah.
so then I just kind of stopped asking for feedback from non-musicians, and I
Hmm.
kind of only send my music to my musician friends because it's like they can tell me, the technicalities of what should be changed and how they
Yeah.
genuinely feel about it because they actually know what goes into this.
Yeah, exactly. Boost the bass on this part.
Yeah.
Yeah. Snare's a little loud, or a minute 19, you know?
Yeah.
So I like music criticism, music reviewing. I, I I know a lot of people don't, but like
Hmm.
as a musician, I'm a pretty big fan of people like Anthony Fantano
Same. Yeah.
reviewing albums. And
Yeah.
someone asked me once, they're like, so what happens if you listen to your album and he gives it like a 1 or a 2 out of 10? And I'm like, first of all, like if I can be a little like on my own pedestal, I don't think he would if he listened to it. I think I'd be happy with the score. But second of all, no matter what he gave it or anyone else who listens to it, I would be so happy that I was given that chance and I was given that. And even if it was a score that low, that
Hmm.
constructive criticism would be so important to me that I'd be almost more grateful for a lower score because then I know what I can do better next time. So
Right.
I think that's
Exactly.
kind of just the same thing.
Yeah. Like with Fantano, I noticed he hated on Logic so hard, but
Yeah.
it was very constructive. I'm pretty sure they worked together on one
Yeah.
of his LPs. Um,
Hmm.
but I'm pretty sure on that very same LP there's a track where he like disses the
He
hell
says he
out
wants
of.
he fantasizes about killing him. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
just like constructive criticism can be great sometimes. And I feel like if Fantano um reviewed my music, even if he gave it like a not good, even if he gave it a
Yeah.
0, I'd be like, I'm honored that he took the time to listen and curate
Hmm.
these thoughts, because he's not just like an angry bald snob, right? He's like
No, that's what people think who just look at the
yeah,
score and not watch the video.
he's an he's a respectful bald man who
Hmm.
knows what he's talking about. He's been in the game for such a long time, and it's just like people should listen to Fantano, right? I mean, obviously, don't like base your opinions on,
They're
you know,
glazing, yeah,
yeah,
but
exactly. People glaze him so much, but it's just like listen to the music and form your own opinion. And then
yeah,
he has some pretty cool takeaways too.
exactly. I mean, just talking about Logic again, he just
Mm,
put out a new album. I don't know if you
yeah,
saw, and Fantano gave it a really good score. So it's like it's kind of a full circle moment
yeah,
right
just
there.
just proves how listening to that criticism can go a long way instead of taking it
It
personally.
really can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to listen to that album. I've been trying to listen to about every mainstream album that's come out this year,
Mm.
I hit 100 last night,
Oh my
100
God.
albums this year. And so
Wow.
I've kind of been curating a bit of a like a ranking for the end of the year or like
Mm.
worst to best. But I mean the thing is just even if they're on the worst side, you gotta just not be like, oh, this album sucks, end of story. You gotta be like, well, I didn't like this and this could have been changed, but like it's just like having respect for the artist because music, there's someone's gonna listen to that and they're gonna be like, oh, I love that album. I love
Yeah.
this. And your favorite album, someone else could be like, no, I hate it. This is the worst thing ever. So it's just
Yeah.
kind of like instead of, I mean, people will just look at it and be like looking at a score, like, oh, the album's a four, that's it. Instead of watching the whole video or reading the whole article and being like,
Yeah.
oh, that's why they think this. I disagree because of this and this and this. And
Mm.
especially when it's musician to musician.
Yeah. Okay, but again, leading into my next question, kind of bringing it
Hmm.
back to original music.
Yeah,
You've been teasing some images on your music account recently,
yeah.
and I've noticed kind of a theme. So,
Hmm.
does this mean that there is new music coming soon in the form of a single, perhaps? And if so, can you reveal anything about it?
Do you mean the little clips, like the little bass and the drums and those
Yes.
little things?
Yeah, and
So,
also the random picture of a pair of shoes that you posted.
yeah, yeah. So, the day we're filming this, there's gonna
Mm-hmm.
be a reel
Oh,
that'll drop, and then I guess if we're dropping this in a couple weeks, the song will probably be out or about
oh,
to be out. It is a single. It's, I mean, I'm gonna reveal like the name of it and release date tomorrow. So by this time you'll know, you might have heard it, I don't know, but there's gonna be a lot more promotion. It's a song called Runner's High,
whoa.
a song I'm really excited about
Dang
actually.
it.
I
I
think
thought I got an exclusive scoop on my hands.
no, but it's I think the best single that I've put out as Blueberry Beach so far.
Mm,
I'm really excited, and I don't want to reveal too much because there's
mm.
going to be some little teasers and reels, but that the secretive stuff is about over. So,
Uh, well, you didn't hear it here first, guys. You probably saw his reel. But if you didn't, then this is news to you.
yeah, if you're just watching, you don't know who I am, maybe you should go check it out.
Yeah, I'm gonna like at the end of this just like play like compilation of his music.
Oh, no. I mean, you can. Go ahead.
Your best ones.
So I was just going to ask a similar thing about you. So,
Hmm.
what are your plans for promoting the EP, the new single? Any like promotional stuff you have in mind besides,
Right.
I guess, just like how it is? Yeah.
So by the time this is out, there's gonna be a little video, a little reel, um,
Mhm.
full of just kind of pictures and videos of my childhood, my life, kind of leading up to the EP. Make it very
Awesome.
sentimental, make it very emotional, and the title, Curse of Mediocrity, along with the
Mhm.
entire track list, will be released by that time. By the time this is
Awesome.
up, so that's pretty exciting. Um, I've kind of been promoting the song through those little drawings that I've been putting up.
Yeah.
Um, and I can say that after this episode comes out, there will be more of those drawings to kind of promote the characters that I've made, that I've embodied for
Awesome.
the songs on the EP. And I don't think I'm really gonna show off any of the songs. Again, I want it to be bathed
Yeah.
in mystery. So
Hmm.
yeah, if
That's a
you
good way of
saw
putting it.
saw what I did there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it.
I mean I agree. I mean, same for me. There's gonna be a couple more singles before my album because it's got a couple more months before it's out. But I still kind of am like, I don't want to reveal the entire album before it's out. Like,
Hmm.
I want people to press play on the album, listen to the first track, and be like, "Whoa, this is this," and get down through the songs, like kind of
Hmm.
So that's something I like, and that's what I'm excited for. Even though I've heard a lot of the EP already, that's I'm
Yeah.
excited to kind of start at the beginning and be like, whoa,
Yeah,
because
unfortunately the
this,
element of surprise won't be there for you because you're just gonna have it already. But just pretend that you haven't listened when you're listening.
that's kind of something I like to do with my own music. I'll
Mm.
once it releases, I'll listen on Spotify and I'll be like pretending I've never heard it before, pretending I'm like somebody else listening for the first time, like trying to be like, what would they be thinking when they hear this for the first
Yeah,
time?
and when I was mixing Song for a Person I've Never Met, I didn't like the mix. But then when it
Mm.
came out on Spotify, I was like, wow, Spotify compression did like wonders to this song. Like it sounds so much better on Spotify than it did on Logic or anywhere else I was listening to. And
That's cool.
I was just like, What happened? This is like plastic surgery, but like for music."
Yeah, I think sometimes that can have the opposite effect where it's like you love the mix and then you
Hmm.
put it on and it sounds terrible.
Yeah.
Usually, um, mixing for me is like one of the hardest parts, so I spend a lot of time with it, and by the time it's done, I'm like, okay, like I'm good to go. But once I sometimes I'll put it on like a reel or like on Instagram, and I'm like, dang, it ruined the quality. So yeah.
Yeah, I get that too, cause like I feel like it was just Song for a Person I've Never Met where it had like
Hmm.
such a great effect on the atmosphere of the
Yeah.
song with the compression and everything. But it kind of did something else for Wounds. I really love the song, but I feel like Spotify compression kind of did that song dirty. Um, because I feel like it's way louder than the way that I mixed it, and I feel like
Oh, okay.
when I listen to the song on Logic, you can't hear the white noise. And when I listen to it on like my Apple Music library, I can't hear the white noise. But then when I play it on Spotify specifically because of the compression, it's just like whenever my voice pops in, there's like this pang of white noise which disappears when my voice like when I stop singing, and it's only there for
Yeah.
my verse. So it's just like
Oh,
during my verse, and it's just it itches my brain in such an awful way. But it's like I don't think anyone's noticed. I think it's just me who's noticed because I feel like you
I
notice
think
these
yeah.
things when like you make the music. Like in Out of It, there's like clicks and pops because I forgot to fade in certain tracks. And you know how when you don't fade in
Oh,
the tracks, there's kind of like a like click sound. Um,
yeah.
I made Out of It on my iPad. I didn't make it on Logic or
Oh,
anything. I made it on GarageBand on my iPad. So there was no like fade in like tool. So it's just like
okay.
all the audio files just had that click and pop. So it was bizarre and nobody notices it, but whenever I listen right before the chorus is like a like right when the vocals start and it itches my brain so bad.
Yeah, I've had a similar thing. I remember sending you Ivy,
Hmm.
and then I sent you a second version like 20 minutes later. I
Hmm.
think it was Ivy, but it was because of like the same reason. There was some like the mic stuff like picked up like a few
Hmm.
things, and I was like, oh, I noticed that, and you probably wouldn't have noticed, but
Hmm.
when you make the song, because I don't know if you're the same way, but before you release it, once you've been working on it for all these months or however long, when you listen, you hear every individual
Yeah.
little section, little stem. And then when you're listening to like someone else's song, even if you know how it was produced, you don't hear that. It's just when you made it. So
Yeah.
it's the same. Yeah.
It stops feeling like a song at a certain point, right? It just feels
Hmm.
like an amalgamation of so many different things. And I feel like again, like you saying that a lot of people don't notice certain elements. Um oops, my mic. Yeah, a lot of people don't like notice certain elements of the song. Um there's a song I made called Take Me Back on
Okay.
my mixtape My Conundrum, which
Hmm.
featured um a good friend of mine. His artist name is Lil G, and he's a reaction YouTuber. He's been featured on Brad Taste. He's a good friend of Brad's,
Oh yeah.
and his YouTube channel name is The Tune Up, and
Oh yeah. 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 Yeah.
yeah, so I made that song with him on my mixtape, and I remember So we'd recorded live instruments for the entire song. So it was like live guitar, live drums, live bass. But I cut out the live hi-hats because each
Oh
drum
yeah.
stem was recorded individually and I replaced it with my
Oh,
voice. So the hi-hats on that song were just like me breathing into the mic and then pitching my breaths like up and down. So it sounded like hi-hats in different velocities. And nobody really noticed that
I didn't notice.
when you play the song, but it's so apparent to me that it's just like, oh, that's my little 15-year-old voice.
Yeah, you can like hear, almost envision like the exact like I mean shape your voice made and all of that.
Yeah,
Like it's so vivid to you. To
yeah,
everyone else, even if they do figure out like what it is, it's not that same
mm,
effect.
yeah,
Well, I guess thanks for having me.
yeah. Of course. I mean,
Yeah, that
this was
was
really fun.
so cool. I'm glad I get to talk about my music. Always something I love doing and
Yeah, and
hear about yours.
I'm glad I was able to give you a platform because I feel like I've learned so much about your process today, and I guess speaking about our different processes and how we make our music has, I guess, given me a more like expanded horizon cerebrally,
Yeah, exactly.
on how music is made.
Same, I mean, same for me. I love hearing about other people's process, even if it's something that I'm like, that wouldn't work for me. Like sometimes it does, and I feel like you're one of those artists where it's like I can take a lot from like just learning from you. So it's really
Mm,
cool to hear more
I
about that. And
I really appreciate that, and I could say the same about you because you make a very unique genre of music, and I find that your process in making music, I feel like the way that you make music is very it's very unique. It's very unlike anything that I've really seen before in artists. I feel like you're very different in your style and your approach to music, and I feel like
yeah,
that's why, apart from being perhaps one of my favorite music buddies, um, I thought that it would be very fitting to have you as the first guest because
yeah,
there might be more. I'm getting Chris on the next episode. He agreed to it, so
yes.
yeah,
Well, I thank you so much. I mean, that's a real honor, and thank you for having me. I'm I'm so grateful to be like making music with all you guys and sharing
yeah.
stuff and
Drop salsa, Chris. Anyways, um, yeah, I guess that concludes this episode, the very first episode of title here. I don't know what it's called yet. I don't have a good name, but like it'll be here. But
yeah,
yes,
thank you.
we will see you guys soon with our brand new music that is coming out very, very soon.
Yeah, both of us.
Yeah.
Just so exciting.
Well, anyways, ta ta.
See you.
Toodles.